Hey everyone, Mitch coming in for the Commander Scores studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, I've got the forbidden deck that WotC doesn't want you to see. And why am I talking like Deckard Cain? I don't know. Kind of like Deckard Cain, I guess. I don't know. Felt like doing that, so I did it. And I also felt like building this deck, so I did it. Let's jump into it. So stay a while and listen. Sorry, a little more Deckard Cain there. That was terrible. I don't think I got a good Deckard Cain. Stay a while and listen. That might be better. Anyways, the first sliver is going to be the commander for this deck. Now, and Wizards doesn't not want you to build a sliver deck. Doesn't not want you. Double negative. Do they want you to? I don't know. Slivers are a pretty popular tribe in Magic and in Commander especially, and this is not a sliver deck. I will let you know that right now, and your opponents will know it very quickly as well. A 7/7 sliver that costs 5 mana, Wooburg, all colors of course, and it has Cascade and says sliver spells you have Cascade. The important part though here is that this has Cascade, meaning that we, when we cast this, reveal off the top our library until we hit something that costs 4 or less. And here's the thing, there's only one card in this deck that costs 4 or less. Yeah, that's right. This is a deck where our commander's purpose entirely is just to get out a specific card, which will ruin the lives of our opponents, at least for the next hour or 2 or 3, however long the game's gonna go, because, yeah, this is a crazy off-the-wall deck that, again, Wizards and many people out there probably don't want you to know about because it can be very aggravating. Your playgroup doesn't want you to know about it either. And actually, with these kinds of decks, they're fun for me to build. I do enjoy building these off-the-wall decks. That being said, I urge you, please, this kind of a deck is not for certain playgroups. I mean, also, you're going to be spending $50 on it because it's a $50 deck right now, unless you already have the first sliver, which is great then because that's about $34 out of the entire budget. So the rest is very budget-friendly at $16. Every card in the deck is 50 cents or less outside this one. So again, still budget-friendly, even though the commander is literally like 60-70% of the price of the deck, which is pretty crazy. That being said, that does include shipping or basic lands, but you already have those. Regardless, if you are interested in this deck, and your playgroup is going to be okay with a little joke here and there, then make sure you check out that Decklist link in the description below. With all that said, let's jump into what this deck is about. What are we going to cascade into? So first up, we've got tactic number 1. We're going to be cascading into the Golden Pig, which is I said Zers. Zers, weirding. We got there. Anyways, an enchantment for 4 mana. That's right. This is the only card in the entire deck that our commander can hit with that cascade. It is the only card in the entire deck that meets that requirement. And what a requirement it is, because once we get this in play, the game turns on its head. Players play with their hands revealed. Lovely. So we know everything, and our opponents know everything about us. Great. Everyone, we're being honest, right? We're just basically playing telepathy, and everyone just gets to see everyone's hands. It's great. It's great, except I'm showing mine too. Oh, by the way, one small little, tiny little adjustment, okay? If a player would draw a card, they reveal it instead. Then any other player may pay 2 life. If a player does, put that card into its owner's graveyard. Otherwise, that player draws the card. So all of a sudden, everyone's hands again are revealed. People know what's going on. And also, hey, when players are going to be drawing cards, it's only fair that everyone gets to see it, right? And determine, should that player get that card? I don't know. Now, normally, again, in other formats where, this was originally created, players had 20 life. So I was like, okay, I have to pay 1/10 of my life against this other player to say, you can't draw that. With this format, though, in Commander, it's a bit different. Again, we've got 4 players. So that means that player who's trying to draw that card, there are 3 opponents to them, and maybe one of them doesn't want them to have it, or multiple, and they just decide on who's going first. I guess it's a turn order thing on who's paying the 2. Regardless, it's an abundant resource. Life is an abundant resource in Commander. Again, you have 40. That means apparently, right, you could do this 20 times. I guess you take yourself out, but you do it 20 times. But of course, we have built-in things where we're going to be taking advantage of this entire system a lot more than our opponents in that, well, we're going to get card advantage in ways other than just drawing cards where our opponents might not be so lucky, most likely aren't so lucky. Most decks, when it comes to card advantage, it's card draw. That being said, we've got ways around that, And also on top of that, well, we've got ways to maybe pad our life total to ensure that our opponents won't be drawing any cards ever again. So yeah, this is a kind of deck that Wizards does not want you to know about, and your playgroup probably doesn't either. But again, don't buy this deck unless you know your playgroup's going to be okay with it, okay? Now that said, let's jump to the rest of the tactics. Next up, let's go on to tactic number 3. No draw needed because, yeah, again, we've planned for this, all right? We know that Zur's Weirding is going to be what we're going to be doing. It's a weird deck. Get it, Zur's Weirding? Anyways, backdraft Hellkite, a 4/4 dragon with flying that says, when it attacks, each instant sorcery card in your graveyard gains flashback until end of turn. Flashback cost equal to its mana cost. This essentially says, you know what, your graveyard is now an extension of your hand in a way, essentially, with instants and sorceries. So being able to say, oh no, you said, oh, I'll pay 2 life and then I don't get this card, it's in my graveyard. Here's the thing, I get access to it still, as long as it's instant or sorcery, like, you know, Escape to the Wilds. It's a sorcery for 5 mana, exile the top 5 cards of your library. You may play them this way until your next turn. You may play a land this turn. So essentially, hey, Impulse Draw 5. Yeah, Impulse Draw gets around this because, again, Zur's Weirding's like, hey, when you're drawing cards, that's not cool. This is like, no, I'm Impulse Drawing, and Zur's Weirding's like, oh yeah, that's fine. It's not actually drawing, all right? It's Impulse Drawing. So there are ways to get around it. We're going to be taking advantage of that. Our opponents probably won't be so lucky. And also, hey, cool, ramp with this as well. Get some more mana. Figure out Judge of Valor helps out in multiple ways. First up, 2/4 flying, lifelink. Lifelink, keep that in mind again. Going through hitting an opponent. This is actually, you know, like 1 card denial for us as well, right? Each turn, essentially, because of that 2 lifelink. On top of that, though, when you cast your second spell, you turn look at the top 3 cards of your library, put one of them in your hand, the rest in your graveyard. This kind of curated top of the library, hey, choose one of them. That is not drawing. That is just getting a card at the top of your library into your hand. It's a way to get around Zur's Weirding, and yeah, we've got a lot of ways to do so. Maybe the best one, though, Future Sight. Hey, we don't need to draw cards. We've got Future Sight. Play the top card of your library revealed. Look, we're being so nice. Look, you can see my hand, and you can see the top of my library. You know everything that's going to be going on with me. By the way, just a tiny little thing on this card that you might want to pay attention to. You may play the top card of your library. That's it. That's all it says. So, yeah. You all aren't going to draw any cards, get any more cards in your hand, and I'm going to be like, oh, who cares about card draw? Because I'm just playing card after card after card off the top of my library. It's an extension of my hand. Moving on. Hey, you can pay the 2 for this one. Put it in my graveyard, please. Genesis, Incarnation. At the beginning of your upkeep, if it's in your graveyard, you can pay 2 and a green. If you do, bring back a creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Yeah, this is basically like, hey, your graveyard becomes kind of part of your hand with creatures because, yeah, get me into your graveyard and all of a sudden just, yeah, you know what, pay, get things back, get them into play, have fun with that. Next up, Emoti Celebrant of Bounty. This one is a huge amount of value. First up, Cascade. So again, value from that. Getting things off the top of your library for free by hitting them. Lovely. If we need to get that with Zur's Weirding, we can do so. On top of that, though, and this is where it becomes a bit more of a card that can really help us out, spells you cast with mana value 6 or greater have Cascade. So again, there's only 1 card in this deck that costs 4. So yeah, this can help us get Zur's Weirding. And there's some other ways that we can get it back in our deck if we need to if it gets dealt with. So keep that in mind. That being said, when we're casting our big spells, which we have many of them, they can cascade into other spells, giving us extra value essentially for free on top of that. Also, hey, you know how Future Sight's a really good card in this deck? Let's get a second one, Magus of the Future, because you know what? What's better than 1, 2? 2/3 Human Wizard, put the top card of your library revealed. Exact same thing. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library, so that is just absolutely fantastic for us. Stolen Strategy. You know what, opponent? Since you're not using your cards, we're going to use them for you. Okay, sorry. Enchantment for 5 mana. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of each opponent's library. Until end of turn, you may cast spells from one of those cards, exile sway, spend mana or mana any color to cast those spells. Basically, again, everyone's top of the library for your opponents becomes my top of the library, except I can actually use it, unlike everyone's top of the library, because of Zur's Weirding. Thank you. Melik is a Paragon, very similar to a Future Sight, but potentially even better in some ways. Top card library revealed. You may cast instant sorcery top your library, so again, more specific. That being said, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your library, copy it, choose targets for the copy. Being able to double up on instant sorceries can be absolutely huge. Again, our opponent's gonna be like, we have no cards, what do we do? And we're like, look at all this value we're getting. Speaking of value, Sunbird's Invocation. This is a fun one to rub in their faces. Whenever you cast a spell at the top of your library, whenever you cast a spell from your hand, there we go. Reveal the top X card of your library, where X of that spell is mana value. You may cast a spell with mana value X less from cards on this way that pays its mana cost. For the rest of the bottom of your library in random order. Basically, extra cascade for you in a way. Moving on, dig through time. Very simple, very effective, very amazing. Delve, so we can actually cast this for a lot less than 8 mana, which is great. On top of that, look at the top 7 cards of your library. 2 go in your hand, the rest go in the bottom of your library in any order. Again, curated, top of the library, bring them in your hand. Non-draws are great for this kind of a deck because it gets around Zur's weirding. But now to undo tactic number 3, go get it, because you know what another way around Zur's weirding is? Tutoring. Going and getting exact specific cards that you want and need, and Brain Spoil is a great one for us. We can actually utilize it to destroy a creature that isn't enchanted, which is probably every creature for the most part, unless you're playing against an Enchantress deck. It can't be regenerated. On top of that, again, transmute for 1 black. Discard this, go get any card out of our library that costs 5. We got a lot of great ones like we talked about earlier, like, Future Sight potentially, to give us that card advantage that we need. Next up, Bring to Light, another great card for this deck. Basically, pay WOBRG for this one. Just do yourself a favor right there, okay? Go get a creature, instant, or source card with mana value that is 5 or less. Play it. Yeah, you're going to want to pay WOBRG with this kind of a deck that really has, like, nothing in it that costs less, essentially, except for Zur's weirding. Next up, Final Parting. Go get 2 cards. One goes into your graveyard, which, again, we've talked about ways to take advantage of our graveyard, even like just Genesis. Other one goes into our hand. So, yeah, a great tutor for us. Illicit Shipment. Casualty 3, so sacrifice a creature, and all of a sudden, we get to go get this twice. Tutor twice, essentially, as long as you sacrifice a creature with power 3 or greater, which, yeah, pretty much every creature in this deck is going to meet that requirement, basically. Next up, we've got Invasion of Arcavios, a great battle for us. Enters the battlefield, search your library, graveyard, in or outside the game for an instant source card, reveal upon your hand, search the library this way, shuffle it. So basically, go get instant or sorcery. All of a sudden, we can flip this over as well by taking it out. And then, hey, whenever you cast an instant or spell from your hand, you can copy it. Choose arts with a copy. So again, extra value just to rub in your opponent's faces and be like, oh, you guys aren't really doing anything. You're not drawing any cards or anything. Oh, darn. I'm just going to cast spells and just double them up and get a lot of extra value. Thank you. After I tutored, by the way. Then we can also tutor with Razcast Right. Hey, go search library for a card in your hand, then shuffle. If you don't have Zur's weirding out, cycle it away. Or if you want to make an opponent who's really low on life have to give up 2 more life, do that. That's actually quite fun. I mean, for you. Next up, Demand is a great tutor for you as well. Search library for a multicolor card, reveal, put your hand, then shuffle. A lot of great multicolor cards in this deck. Or, finisher for us, put X1/1 saplings into play with supply. So again, keep in mind, I do want to mention with these split cards, essentially, their total mana value is them together, okay? So that's why, when we're cascading with our commander, it's not going to hit this, because this is total of 5. So keep that in mind. Moving on. Ethereal Usher, transmute again for 3 mana, or we can get a 2/3 that makes things unblockable, which could be something that we want to utilize. Again, our commander does have 7 power. Most likely, though, utilize this tutor for what you need. Netherborn Phalanx, also a great transmute. Again, transmute is great because also it cannot be countered unless they have a stifle, because it's an ability. A 2/4 that enters the battlefield, each opponent loses 1 life for each creature they control. This can be a great finisher for us as well in the right situation. Plead for Guidance. So I talked about a lot of great enchantments that we have that can be those card value engines for us that get around Zur's weirding, or yeah, just tutor for Zur's weirding if you need to get back in your library for some reason you don't have access to your commander. If that's the case, cool. Another way to get it, go tutor for 2 enchantments, reveal them, put in your hand. Then we also have Invert and Invent. Invent is what we really care about. Go get an instant and a sorcery from your library, put in your hand. Again, a lot of great tutors for us to set ourselves up for success. But we also need to start things off to be successful as well. So tech number 4, start it up. Migratory Route. We can either make 4 1/1 birds, or we can basic land cycle this away to help us go get those lands that we need to essentially say, let's get our commander out pretty early and get this crazy thing going on right away. Sylvan Reclamation, very similar again, basic land cycling, or we can exile 2 artifacts and or enchantments. Then we've got Grave Upheaval, basically just reanimate any creature in the graveyard, give it haste. Lovely! And again, there's gonna be a lot of great things in graveyards because of all this. Hey, no, Zur's weirding says you can't have that card, or again, basic land cycle away. Then we also have Greater Tanuki. We actually can have a 6/5 Trampler, or we can channel it away by paying 2 and a green, discarding it, and going and ramping by getting a basic land play tapped. Lunar Hatchling. This one has basic land cycling as well. Or we're going to have a 6/6 Trampler that we can also escape to get it back out again and again by paying 4 in a green and a blue. Exile land you control and 5 other cards from your graveyard. There you go. Then we've got Road. Again, this is a split card, so its total cost is between the 2, 6. So it's not going to get hit with our first sliver, which is great. Go get a basic, put a play, tap, then shuffle or ruin. Deals damage to our creature with a number of lands you control. So again, for our opponents, I finally got a creature out. Great, I'm going to be fine even though I can't draw. Cool. They're like, no, let's take that out. Goodbye. Moving on, Chefit Monitor. 4 mana to cycle this away, so draw a card. Also go get a basic into play tapped as well. Civen Bounty. This one's quite funny because, again, it's usually a pretty bad card in a lot of decks, but this one's actually really good because, hey, we can basic land cycle away early to get the card that we need early. Or, hey, just cast it even instant speed, gain 8 life. That might not be a lot in many circumstances for 6 mana, but with this deck, again, that's like, oh no, that's like 4 cards drawn for our opponents. So yeah, that can be absolutely huge in card denial for us. Speaking of gaining a lot of life, though, Titania's command. Choose 2, exile target player's graveyard. You gain 1 life for each card. Exile this way. Again, graveyards are going to fill up quite a lot with Zur's Weirding, so it can be a lot of life gain. Or we can go, well, we get to choose 2, so we can do it also. Go get 2 lands, put them on battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Or make 2 bears, 2/2 bears. Or get 2 counters to use creature control. Whatever you need, choose those modes. Or we've got Travel Through Kadaris. Karadas. I'm going to mess up that name. Anyways, Council's Dilemma. Sorry, the huge player votes for Red Horde Pass or Minds of Moria. For each Red Horde Pass vote, search life for a basic land on the battlefield tapped. Search library this way, shuffle. For each Minds of Moria vote, return a card from your graveyard to your hand, exile it. So this one can be ramp for us. It can also be a way to say, someone dealt with Zur's Weirding. Let's get that back so we can get this fun back on the road. Next up, Verdict Mastery. Basically, pay 4, get 2 basics into play tapped under your control. You also go get 1 more basic for your opponent because you're very nice. And then also you get 1 basic in your hand. Or if you pay 6, you get all the basics for yourself, 2 into play, tapped, and then 2 into your hand. Beanstalk Giant, yet another way to get around, essentially, not having something that costs less than 5 in our deck. Pay 3 and a green for that Sorcery Adventure. Go get a basic land to play tap shuffle. Also can be a big threat itself. Star, power touch, equal number of lands we control. And then we got Treacherous Terrain, a good finisher for us as well, potentially. Damage to our opponent's equal number of lands they control. Also can basic land cycle away if you need to. Or Spring, we also have another one. Again, another split card. These are so huge for a deck like this. 3 mana, basic into play tapped. Or, hey, draw 2 cards. If Zur's Weirding's not into play, sure, use that. If it is, don't, unless an opponent is very, very low on life and they're the last ones left. I guess is another time that you could use that. But when it comes to being low on life, yeah, we're not going to be. Tech number 5, massive gains. First up, Clearwater Goblet. 5 mana, Sunburst, so you're going to want to cast this for all 5 colors. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life for each charge counter on it, because, yeah, if you paid 5 mana of different colors, essentially, cool. Gets 5 charge counters on it, you're gaining 5 each turn. That is 2.5 cards of denial for you in combination with Zur's Weirding. Moving on, Unbreakable Bond. We've got some big creatures we can take advantage of. Return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with a lifelink counter on it. So again, get a creature out of your graveyard, which was forced to go in there because of some mean opponent who said you can't draw that. Now we get it back out anyways, and also it's lifelinky, so it can gain us a lot of life throughout the game. Moving on, Magus of the Mirror. Maybe we're the ones who are spending a lot of life. Maybe our opponent's like, all right, let's all work together, all right? We'll deny, you know, Mitch of the cards, and then, yeah, we'll just do that. Okay, so they're doing that to you, and you're doing that to all of them, and your life total is so low. Oh, no! Well, Magus of the Mirror has something to say about that. Tap, sacrifice, exchange life totals to target opponent. So all of a sudden, all that work that you did to keep your life totals high by working together, it's worked against you, because all of a sudden I'm swapping with you, getting your life total, and you get my tiny little life total to take you out. Next up, this renewal, go get 3 basic lands on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Also gain 7 life. So yeah, more ramp for us, which is huge, and also life gain, which is lovely. Pontiff of Blight, extort. Also, other creatures we control have extort. So whenever we cast a spell, we can pay Orzhov for each of our creatures, and then drain our opponents 1 and gain the total life that they lost. Absolutely amazing way to pad our life total, and also take our opponents down even further. Primeval Bounty, very simple, very effective enchantment. Whenever you cast a creature spell, make a 3/3 creature. Cast a non-creature spell, 3 counters on a creature you control. Cool. Gonna make our commander even deadlier. Or hey, play a land and get 3 life. Great. Anytime a land comes into play, we are gaining 3 life. Again, that is 1.5 cards for us, essentially, of denial. Or we can deny a ton with Ancestral Tribute. 7 mana, gain 2 life for each card in your graveyard. Again, our graveyard's going to get pretty full throughout the game with Zur's Weirding in play. Gain a ton of life for that. Again, that is basically like, again, 1 card denied for each card in our graveyard. On top of that, flash it back. Got plenty of ways to ramp to actually pay that 12 mana to do so, and all of a sudden, again, we gain even more life, and our opponents are in big trouble. Arbiter of Nullridge, a really funny card for this kind of a deck, where it's like, hey, oh no, I'm low, you're low, everyone's low. Let's extend the game even further. Hey, enters the battlefield. Everyone's life total becomes the highest life total among all players. Let's gain it back up. Everyone's back up to that, and all of a sudden, yeah, basically reset the game, except for Zur's Weirding in play, and we've got all these other advantages over you, so we're going to be able to deny even more cards. Moving on, Herd Migration. We can create a 3/3 beast creature token for each basic land type among lands we control, so we can do that. Or pay 1 green, discard it, go get a basic land, reveal it with your hand, then shuffle. So again, like basic land cycling essentially, but also you gain 3 life, which can be huge. Invincible Hymn, 8 mana, count the number of cards in your library, life total comes that number, that can be a ton. Versus Sands, again, yet another kind of life swappy card, which is amazing. Redistribute any number of players' life total. So basically, you're at 40. I like that. Thank you. I'm down at 2, so let's swap. You're at 2 now. I'm at 40, and you two swap whatever I want to do. Anyways, make deals, do some crazy things with a card like this. No deals need to be made with this one. Revival Revenge. Trade creature card, mana value 3 or less for your battlefield. Don't worry about that. What we need to worry about is Revenge. W life total, target opponent loses half their life, rounded up. Yeah, this is huge. Being like, oh, I'm at a ton. I can now deny a lot more cards. Oh, you weren't at that much to begin with. Now you're at even less. Goodbye. But the torture, the torment is not done yet for our opponents. Moving on to attack number 6, Massive Pains. Because even if they do have some things out, we're like, we already denied you of a lot of things. Let's just deny you of your board now at this point. Cleansing Nova. Choose 1 destroy creatures or destroy artifacts and enchantments. Whatever you need, choose that one. Fumigate. Hey, you know what's good with a board wipe? Life gain with this kind of a strategy. Destroy all creatures, 1 life gain for each creature destroyed this way. So clear the board, and also just pad your life total a little bit so you can utilize that even more with Zer's Weirding. Moving on, Primal Command. Speaking of which, choose 2, target player gain 7 life, but target non-creature permanent on top of its owner's library. Target player shuffles a graveyard in their library. Search life for a creature, reveal it with your hand, then shuffle. All of these modes are incredible for this kind of a deck. It's a really good card, really flexible. Speaking of flexible, Austere Command. Destroy a lot of things. Choose 2, artifacts, enchantments, small creatures, big creatures, whatever you need to do. Do that, and all of a sudden, you're in a good spot. And then we've got Storm-Keld Vanguard. Again, adventures are great for this kind of a strategy. 1 and a green to target artifact or enchantment. Also, hey, it can't be blocked by tiny creatures, which is lovely when this is actually in play. Blood Money, yet another way to just get a ton of resources. Draw creatures for each non-token creature stored this way. Create tap treasure token, so a great way to just pad our, not only life total with other cards, but also pad our resources to ensure that we can have some big explosive turns. Moving on, tactic number 7, stay weird, because again, enemy number 1, well, is going to be us, but also the enemy number 1 on the board is going to be Zer's Weirding. That opponent's going to be like, we need to deal with that, and we're going to be like, please don't. But if they do, we can get it back with a card like Invasion of Solvada. Enters the battlefield, return target non-battle permanent, which Zer's Weirding is obviously not, from your graveyard to the battlefield. So that can be huge. Just getting it right back out, be like, oh yeah, you thought you finished it? Nope. Time for it to keep going. Also, on top of that, hey, we flip this over, the Broken Sky. Creature tokens you control at +1/+0 and have a life link. On top of the give your end step, you make a 1/1 spirit with flying. So again, hey, we get to make more and more and more and more creatures that have life link that basically hit for 2 essentially. All of a sudden, we're gaining more and more life to pad our life total, essentially get rid of our opponent's cards. Moving on, Abzad's Aid, very simple, very effective. Bring a permanent card back from our graveyard to the battlefield. So again, can be for Zer's Weirding or can be for something massive that got put in our graveyard too. Regenesis, return up to 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard back to your hand at instant speed. That can be huge for us. Struggle to survive. Instant speed, deal damage to our creature, equal number of lands you control, or survive. Each player shovels their graveyard back in their library. So again, a way to reset things for us and basically say, oh, you dealt with Zer's Weirding, back in our library, cascade back down to it with our first sliver. Verdant Confluence. Choose 3, choose same mode more than once if you want to. 2 counters on target creature, return target permanent card from your hand, or go get a basic into play tap, then shuffle. So again, even more ramp. What's not to love about that? Or also recursion for us. Speaking of recursion, Profound Journey, bringing back a permanent from your graveyard back to the battlefield. Also rebound, so do that again. A lot of value for 7 mana. And then finally, Commit to Memory. Commit, put target spell or non-permanent to Zer's library, second from the top. So again, basically into oblivion for our opponents because they're never going to get back to it, because when they do, we'll be like, pay 2 life, it's gone. And then also, hey, memory, if we need to shuffle our graveyard and library and draw 7 cards, we can. And also, we might even have enough life to be like, okay, cool, everyone does that. You get no hands. Yay! I mean, your opponents can do that to you too. But keep in mind that, yeah, if you've got yourself set up like with Future Sight and other resources, you can kind of like lock out the game for your opponents where they're not drawing anything else. Kind of fun for you. But now let's move on to our final tactic, tactic number 8. And I named this one just... why not? Because why not? So we're also having Karuga the Macro Sage as our companion. Why? Because we can. Because literally, again, every single card in this deck, because the way this deck is built, costs 3 or more. So, companion requirement, your starting deck contains only cards converting mana cost 3 or greater and land cards. That's what our deck does. Again, because we have Zer's Weirding, which is at 4, and everything else is higher than that. A 5/4 Dinosaur Hippo that costs 5 mana in Simic. A great companion for us that kind of doesn't work with this deck too, but again, who cares? It's a free companion. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card for each other permanent you control with converting mana cost 3 or greater. So again, if Zer's Weirding is in play, yep, not really going to do much for us other than like drain our opponent's lives potentially when they have to pay to not let us draw certain cards. That being said, Observer's Verdict isn't there. Yeah, it could be a good card draw spell for us. So yeah, Karuga, congratulations. You're just auto added as a companion because why not? But now as this episode is coming to a close, it's time for me to hear from you. So in the comments below, let me know what your thoughts are on this build. What do you think about, well, the first sliver being built in a non-sliver way? And what do you think about Zer's weirding and how weird that can make a commander game? And again, I do urge you that if you know that your playgroup is not going to be okay with this, or just like, don't just bring this to like your LGS and just be like, hey, everyone, no, this is completely a regular sliver deck. And then just you know if playgroups or people are going to be okay with this, okay? You know if they are or not. So be responsible. If you already have a first sliver, though, yeah, this is a very budget-friendly deck again, like just $16 in total according to Moxfield, you know, with the first sliver removed, essentially. So, and if not, you could always just proxy the first sliver. Or, yeah, if you really want a first sliver, go pick one up for like $34 or whatever it is right now. Regardless, a very off-the-wall deck. I hope that you enjoyed this one. If you are interested in it, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. Of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.